All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is General Greene. God bless everybody tuning in. Is it just me, or is this year already started with a bang? It's already been probably the most tumultuous year that we have ever seen. It's barely even gotten started yet. Today, I've taken a lot of notes. I want to go over the financial reset, exactly how they're going to reset the system through a hyperinflationary collapse. In my view, what to plan for, what to expect, how to get ahead of this, how to pivot, leverage, prosper ahead of the biggest cataclysm that we have seen, arguably since the Revolutionary War, which I'll get to that in a story today, as well as President Joe Biden is evoking the horrors of history's past as his actual campaign strategy, speaking in what are some of the darkest moments that we've ever seen in history. So we'll talk about that. We all understand the predictive programming, of course. Please like and share of the upcoming Civil War 2.0 that they are also willfully selling to the American public, which I believe, in my personal opinion, is incredibly dangerous and shows us their hand and their cards of what actually they're intending, what they're actually planning for innocent Americans, which I believe is terrible, because good leadership should be preaching peace, love, prosperity, goodness, and hope and charity. But instead, we see evil Washington, D.C. preaching and espousing the opposite, which is only going to create more chaos in city streets. It is going to create more race-baiting culture, which we're seeing Joe Biden also play into that. And I just think it's absolutely terrible. So I'm praying for this country. I'm praying for all of you tuning in. But it is important that you take the bull by the horns yourself and ready you and your family in a number of ways. I've always called it your ark, your digital Noah's Ark, spiritually, financially, personally, your business, the list goes on and on. So let's talk about this. Debt is now skyrocketed to a shocking $34 trillion. This guarantees that the central bank, as I've talked about in years past, would eventually start cutting rates, which is exactly what they're going to do because they can't service the debt. Now, let me give you an idea of how bad this is, how catastrophic it is. And this is why prices are rising with all your key goods, ingredients, housing, rents, basic cost of living, and necessities. The current debt load in 2022, not even 2023, keep in mind, is already 100% of GDP. It's technically 97% of gross domestic product. So almost 100% of the actual output of the country through its products and services is eroded, if not eradicated, by the debt that politicians on both sides of the aisle, of course, are responsible for. Now, by 2053, if we want to go out that far, but really we're just looking at from now to 2030, the debt will be 181%, near 200% of GDP. That is a shocking, astonishing, and non-sustainable figure that they're not going to allow to happen. And I'm going to explain that because the goal has always been to reset the system. Even when they didn't have terms of this before, they came out with, of course, the new normal. The whole goal was to collapse the system, to reset it, of which, of course, they would provide the solution in Hegelian dialectic format for the problem they created. See, when the elites reach a point, a boiling point of the boiling frog syndrome, which is basically every American boiling alive, losing their wealth, losing their jobs, losing hope. I mean, I would say and argue that good portions of the country are now permanently in a state of hopelessness, which is exactly where they want you. And so I just want you to keep this in mind. Don't fall into this trap. Don't fall into the trap of hopelessness, or that you're not powerful through God, or that there aren't solutions out there. There definitely are. But the problem is, and this is my opinion, all of Washington, D.C., of course, is so evil now and corrupt on both sides of the aisle. There's really not many good people left. And I really believe that to be the truth. I've had a lot of you even ask me in the past, hey, General, why don't you run for Congress? Why don't you run for president? Why don't you run for political office? Well, the reason you don't see me doing that is I'm actually a good person. And I believe it would be a conflict of interest as a good human being. I don't think you can operate in the pits of hell, is what I'm saying. And I'll just speak for myself. I'm not of this world. And so that could always change from the standpoint that maybe there is a time to run in political office. But at least as far as myself personally, I've never viewed that as a solution because I believe it to be not a solution at all, which is what we're currently seeing. So the big takeaway here is the national debt truly is a national security issue that is beyond the pale, like that threatens your livelihood, Social Security, Medicare, inflation, your business, your life. It is literally a national security issue that flagrant, irresponsible, drunken sailor politicians with the equivalent of unlimited credit cards have gone out and extorted all the real wealth of America and transferred it overseas and into their own pockets through giant corporations that, of course, own all the lobbyists and own America. I've always viewed America not by and for the people, even though it should be. It's much more a corporatocracy, and I much more consider it the United States corporations of America. I mean, I honestly believe that Disney, Nike, Wall Street, and other large firms, that actually is America. I mean, look at Times Square. Look at the destitute nature of even January 1st, New Year's Eve, where the rest of the world, if you compare firework displays and New Year's Day celebrations, you'll see that everywhere else in the world, the celebration is superior, far more technologically advanced, and just better in all ways compared to crumbling U.S. infrastructure in decline. I mean, literally, I was watching images of Dubai with giant firework displays, with drones choreographed dancing in the air, things that I've never even seen humanly possible, and then compared it to like Anderson Cooper drinking on camera and then homeless people like dying in the streets and no one even caring about New York City anymore because the place just sucks. And many believe is just a sewer pit of hellish demons, which I actually agree with. Now, by 2022, interest payments had already exceeded $475 billion on the U.S. national debt. And I believe we've already exceeded, or will in the coming years, the total spend just on interest alone of all U.S. national defense spending. At least the numbers that we're familiar with, because of course, the Pentagon has failed its audits and isn't audited and doesn't do any accounting. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but it's actually only the American people that do accounting and then, pay taxes and stuff. The corporations don't. And in addition to that, entities like the Pentagon don't even pass audits. They fail them. They just hide basically all the finances. Like, this is all facts as far as I understand them. By 2032, the U.S. debt just on interest alone will exceed $1.4 trillion. And if you go as far out as 2053, which I'm not even concerned about that because America's not going to survive that long, it would be 5.4 trillion. America will not survive in its current format in the next few years. They're going to change format, which is what I've been telling you for years. It's the decline of Western civilization and a financial reset into the new system, a technology infrastructure, a digital system, and of course, blockchain, which I've been telling you about for nearly a decade now with my host of educational products and services. So that's how bad it is, guys. So that will be more than the entire United States spends on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all other mandatory and discretionary spending programs. Now, for you youngsters out there, and this goes for me as well, I'm not planning of ever receiving anything from the U.S. government, like nothing. And I don't receive anything from the government. For example, my kids don't go to public schools. I pay for it. Another example of that would be, and many of you are in the same boat as I am, you have to pay for your health insurance for your family. That exceeds, in some cases, $2,000 to $3,000+ a month. Mine personally is over $3,000 a month. for my family. While good, honest Americans that own businesses create value and employ people, like many of you tuning in, that actually create value in America and prosperity, actually pay for everybody else that are losers and that don't do any work and don't do anything. For example, California is now moving bills to pass through that there will be free health care for all the illegals that come into the state, which is another reason to scat and get the heck out of California. I mean, I'm originally from California, but California is a terrible, terrible place. As soon as I was old enough to leave, I did, because I realized that it was a sewer pit of disgust and collapse, and left. And this is why most people have left California. And we've seen on the many parts of the West Coast, of course, how now they've legalized drugs in places like Portland. You'll literally see people pooping on themselves with injectables inside their arms on city streets, and then losing their minds with like schizophrenia and things like that because of the drug addiction and all the terrible things that mostly Democrats have allowed to happen. You know, the way you overtake a country and overthrow it is through all the policies essentially the politicians have put into place. Insolvency, massive debt, liberalization of America, which has only collapsed the system, and then, of course, created a nanny state of bankruptcy, essentially. So I want you to understand that. Now, you all know that. All of you always tell me, well, Christopher, won't they just extend the debt and kick the can down the road? Actually, this time they're going to do that, but they're going to transfer it into the new digital reset in financial infrastructure. Whether or not this is the CBDCs I've been talking about for years, central bank digital currencies, or it's the new normal digital reset that you keep hearing about by the three-letter organizations that are implementing these policies worldwide. So we have all that going on. So you have a guarantee, even if you're thinking just conservatively, like let's be positive, America is going to get through this, which it's not. At the very least, expect massive hyperinflation. Whether or not it was your grandfather, your great-grandfather, or his great-great-grandfather, the only guarantee in America is death, taxes, and hyperinflation. Again, I give the countless examples. My grandfather bought his first house. He was poor. He actually grew up poor and later became successful during the Great Depression. He lost his father. Father had died. He was the head of the household when he was like 13, sold literal fruit and oranges from side streets during the Depression to feed himself and his family. He became a man, really when you were really only supposed to be a kid. I think he only paid like $30,000 for his first house in Long Beach. And it's, worth today like over $3 million. So I'm just making the point, God rest your soul, Grandpa, rest in peace. I'm just making the point that the one thing that you can count on is hyperinflation. So as I always keep emphasizing, not only is the U.S. collapsing and its currency is collapsing, but the U.S. dollar truly is factually hyperinflationary dog crap trash. And it needs to be flushed down the toilet and treated like trash. I mean, I wiped my butt earlier and I almost pulled out some dollar bills to wipe my butt with U.S. fiat because it's that dirty and that disgusting. Now, you need to deploy your assets into real assets like real estate, the Island Project, Bitcoin, Jesus Coin. The list goes on and on. We'll get to that in a moment. And I'm also going to get into our breaking story today, proving what a bunch of scumbags the elites actually are and how terrible these devil worship demons truly are. We're also going to get the BOMB shell of the Epstein client flight log lists later today, which will of course include most of all of your politicians, bankers, celebrities, etc., from Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and many, many others. And it's very disgusting and it's beyond reproach. Of course, if you don't know, Jeffrey Epstein worked for Mossad, Israeli intelligence, along with the three-letter agencies here in the United States of America, and operated a honeypot to basically extort very famous people and powerful people so that they could be controlled and essentially puppeteered like a puppet master would, that gave the cabal and really, people in charge of this world, Satan, the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, to influence public policy, governmental power, etc. And so that was all part of a very Orwellian agenda, of course, to bring people in like Prince Andrew, etc., and then incriminate them and to use that powerful information against them. And of course, they were running a huge trafficking ring with full knowledge of the US government and all the intelligence agencies for years. No one really seems to care, nor do they continue to care, except for just normal people, I guess, like us, that really believe these things to be, heinous, terrible affiliations and acts. I'm sure there's even a few good people out there. I mean, I'll just point out, we know Trump was on the flight logs. Maybe a few people got conned into it without their knowledge. Who knows? But I mean, even if we give them the benefit of the doubt, typically where there's smoke, there is fire. Also today, in another very disruptive news report, again, this year has really shot off with a bang, especially with what we've seen in Japan with a recent earthquake and tsunami warnings. And tragically, many people were buried alive. They also had a plane that lit on fire randomly, like the next day. Thankfully, I think everybody survived. Thank God. But also, we had news reports today, which to me smells very dirty, like a false flag or a psychological warfare operation, in my opinion. I'll just put it out there. And that there were massive state capital evacuations in 5 states. So in the states of Georgia, Mississippi, Michigan, Connecticut, and Kentucky, there were BOMB threats, state capital evacuations, and it just seems really fishy. Now, Israel, of course, which is now in a new holy World War III event backed by the United States, all planned in advance. I mean, they stood down on October 7th. The IDF willfully, in my opinion, this is my opinion, let in the really evil, bad groups into Israel because, again, this gave them an excuse to eviscerate Gaza. Now they can take control of all that beachfront very conveniently and do exactly what they intended to do in the first place. And I say that with full support for the Israeli people whom I love, my brothers and sisters in Christ, and also my love for the Jewish people themselves. I mean, Jesus Christ himself was a Jew, but in complete opposition to the corrupt and very evil politicians currently in charge of Israel, like King Benjamin Netanyahu. And that's my opinion. I don't support their political class, their politicians, their surveillance state, or them pushing this at all. But I do support the people. I love the people. And I just want you to know I support my Israeli brothers and sisters and the Jewish population, and of course, all of my Christian brothers and sisters. And that goes for all of my brothers and sisters across faiths. I come with love and hope and charity, much like Jesus did. To let Caesars be Caesars is what I'm saying. But the state capital evacuations, please like and share, really smells like a false flag to me, as if governments want to prepare people psychologically for what I've also been telling you would be Civil War 2.0. And so let's talk about that. Biden's actual legitimate, this is how much of a failure he is. He was actually in St. Croix over the weekend just getting a suntan. I don't know, maybe his son Hunter was there philandering with prostitutes as well. I don't really know, or doing drugs. I mean, those are all facts. But he came back with a really bright red tan. I don't know if you saw pictures of this. So while America's burning, Joe Biden was pooping his pants in his diaper in St. Croix, having Mai Tais. I mean, again, just a testament to the disgust of the United States and just the ridiculous, idiocratic idiocracy that we've become. But Joe Biden's actual campaign strategy is to evoke fear, to keep talking about January 6th over and over again, in my view, to spread fear to the American people, and then put messaging out. I believe this is what the Democratic Party intends, that we're going to have a civil war so that they can stoke so much fear, much like they did with this and the lockdowns, so that they can control kind of all their lemmings, and tell them what to do and push them around. I mean, I'm still seeing countless people in city streets as I traverse back and forth and, visit different islands here out in beautiful Hawaii. I'm still seeing people like fully masked. I even saw some lady come out with their surfboard in Waikiki Buya, and she was fully covered from head to toe, and the only things visible were her eyes. Like, I've never even seen this before. Like, I remember during the lockdowns and this fear-mongering, people were actually surfing and bodyboarding with plastic masks on their face. Again, I warned you of all this in advance, but we really should pray for these people. There are millions of Americans actually that have suffered brain damage, literally as a result of the psych warfare that was implemented against them to no fault of their own. I understand that many people are completely ignorant and they actually trust their government, and so they were brainwashed much in the fashion of a digital lobotomy propelled by the mainstream media. And so we have this whole crew of people now that have been digitally lobotomized. Now, remember, that came from the horrors of the medical community in the past, which has later been now well concurred to be basically like a crime. But they used to just prod into your eyes tools, metallic tools, and they would actually cut out a part of your brain and just pull it out, I believe, from your eyes. And they actually did this. The medical community, the same medical community pushing this and telling you to live in fear and put a mask over your face, actually cut people's brains apart in these Orwellian experiments, which is now proven to be like medical crimes. So just keep this in mind. When you're told something, just look at your history and see how wrong they were before, and it'll tell you how wrong they are now. Because, of course, they're making more mistakes, in my view, and will continue to make those same mistakes, either out of ignorance, negligence, or, this is even the scariest part, intentional hostility to you, the American people and people around the world. So I'm just pointing out there's been a lot of brain damage in recent years, and people really truly have been digitally lobotomized and fear-mongered into their own slavery. And we should pray for them and pray that they wake up and resist, and of course do not comply to these heinous, what I think in my opinion are crimes. Now, Biden is evoking the Revolutionary War, race conflict, and also the January 6th event over and over again, which wasn't even armed. That's what's so bizarre about it. It was literally like they left the doors wide open and people just walked through because they allowed people to walk in. I used to live in Washington, D.C. and ride my bike in front of the state capitol. You couldn't go anywhere near it. You would be approached by security. You couldn't go anywhere near it. I used to hang out at the Lincoln Memorial with some of my good college buddies. We might go have a beer or something in my 20s. You couldn't go anywhere without an all-seeing eye and surveillance, and this was like in the 90s. So they're definitely not telling you the truth about leaving the doors wide open to the Capitol, for crying out loud. It makes no sense at all. I used to live there, so I can vouch for it and tell you exactly that I don't believe that to be true at all. In addition to that, and the Epstein data dump, which will be coming, and there's going to be a long laundry list of pretty much all the familiar faces, Hollywood, banker, class, elites, politicians. It's really scary to think. Basically all the people in charge are more than likely involved with Epstein's honeypot and trafficking ring. I'll bring it up again, not to give specifics, but just showing the disgusting nature of the halls of Congress. We just had a story a couple weeks ago where two males were actually fornicating, like in the halls of Congress and like taping it. Guys, it's not an exaggeration to tell you this, but like I would argue that America is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah now. We're worse. God is going to judge, and he's all glory to him. He's going to come back and kick some major ass. Quite frankly, I'm looking forward to it because I'm on the winning team with him. So it's going to be freaking epic. So that we can all praise God in an epic amen and a hallelujah, because he's going to be riding in on his white horse and just kicking the crap out of all these demons hiding in their bunkers. All will kneel to the King Jesus Christ. So we will get more of the Epstein client data dump list. and we'll find out all the really disgusting people associated with him. And so definitely pay attention to that. I'm assuming they'll probably cover up most of the information or put out misinformation regarding it. So I would, think through it with a fine-tooth comb. But at the end of the day, I mean, we just know that these things have taken place, and it just proves how we can't trust any stinking politician out there or any of these people in charge. I mean, frankly, if a politician's talking, he's lying. Also, another major development in the war against China, as the United States is now in World War III with over a billion, I think it's 1.4 billion Chinese now. Keep in mind the Chinese have been launching very aggressive satellites and surveillance software into the United States and hijacking our telecommunication Wi-Fi systems with actual telecommunications infrastructure here in the States. So we don't know if it was Verizon or T-Mobile. We're not really sure who the carriers were. But the last spy balloons that they were sending in that were flying over Washington, D.C. and critical infrastructure and surveilling America and critical assets that we probably don't even know about, we're actually hijacking the same infrastructure for the connectivity that we have here in the USA. When Xi Jinping did come into the United States, he did threaten Joe Biden. I'm sure Joe Biden just laid down like a dog and bent over that he would take Taiwan at all costs, even if it included military costs and lives lost. He's willing to take it over peacefully if America lies down, which it might. I actually think when Trump gets in, because I do think Donald Trump will be elected president, unless, God forbid, they get rid of him. But unless that happens, I do think Trump will use Taiwan as a negotiating tool and actually end up giving Taiwan to China. I actually think he will use Taiwan as a tactic, but it'll be the art of the deal where America will get something in return. It might even be a good move, honestly, because that's kind of already going to happen anyways. Like, China already has Taiwan. We already know that. It's just not official yet. The American people are stupid, and so they don't believe anything's official until the mainstream media tells them. Like, I'll give you another example. We're in World War III now, but a lot of Americans don't think we are. But, a couple months from now, when you're told you're in World War III by CNN, the fake news, Fox News, or MSNBC, the politically correct crowd, once they tell you that, like, hey, you're at war with Russia, and that's going to happen too, by the way, the big talking point of 2024 will be the admission of our U.S. officials that we're at direct war with Russia, which we already are. But my point is, don't wait for the official announcement. I would just prepare now. So those are our hard-hitting reports today as we close in about 30 minutes. I encourage you so much, guys, tuning in to get ready and get prepared. Of course, I've been telling you to do all these things for years. And for those of you that have listened and continue to listen, you are so much better, well off, you're well prepared, you've been prosperous, you've done all the correct things. So I just want to encourage you, please keep going out and doing all these things. Also, share the message to awakened minds out there. Help us awaken more minds into the truth, into Jesus. Get your money right. One of the number one things I've been doing in recent years is helping people really over the last decade with their finances, which is a weak spot for a lot of you. Don't let that area be weak because that can be your Achilles heel in an environment like this. So most commonly, I see a lot of you are weak with the money game. Don't be weak with the money game. I can help you with this. All you have to do is go to school at islandprojectclub.com. I'll include a link in a moment. Here and here, that's islandprojectclub.com, and get your money game right. You'll immediately start watching not only testimonial videos of our great members, but education on how the digital reset is going to unfold, what to do with your money now, how to build an asset allocation in the number one new technology in the world in this digital reset, which is blockchain. What actual specific opportunities should you be looking at? What types of crypto should you be buying? How much? How much should you own? When what are the trends in the next couple of years? How big do I think the crypto market is going to get? When to sell, when to take profits, what wallets to use, what are the safe exchanges that I recommend that I've been working with for over 10 years in my experience. Where are the 1000x picks? Where are those opportunities going to be? And we've seen a lot of huge home runs recently, not only with Jesus Coin, which is still set to soar above 100 million very soon, in my opinion, and then well on its way to $1 billion plus. Also, one of my top picks for 2024 is now officially up over 4, almost 5x. You can only find that at School. Go check it out. It's one of my top mid to large cap picks. And I have brand new picks coming, and I can help you with all of this. And of course, the first 10 of you that subscribe today will also get the opportunity to book a live call, a Zoom meeting with yours truly, where we can chat and go over any concerns, questions you have. I get a lot of questions about the banking system. What do I think are going to be the next banking institutions to collapse, like we saw with, of course, Credit Suisse, Silvergate, Silicon Valley. The list goes on and on. What banks to work with, if any. And then again, just how to diversify your risk outside of the financial banking system to take control, private sovereignty over your own financial success and wealth. We also do just a lot of motivation. I keep you guys in a positive mindset and looking for opportunities, which I don't think enough people do. I mean, this is why I built islandproject.com. This is why I built our world-class real estate portfolio. It's why I've done everything that we've done, is to create cash flows for all of you tuning in, create opportunities and education, not financial advice. Read my disclaimers and terms, of course, on our website so you can be massively successful in this transition. Because what the elites are going to do is reset the system for themselves, transfer, extort all the wealth to themselves, and they're going to leave the American people out to dry. Their goal and intention is to integrate universal basic income to the rest of the 99% after they've officially reset the system. And I believe they're resetting it right now. So I'll end with this. A lot of you ask me, Christopher, when are they going to reset the system? When are the CBDCs being issued? Right now, guys, right now. So it's so important and imperative that you're getting ready and that you're being super prudent with your money game. So get your money game right. It's not the only thing. Get your spiritual game right. Have complete faith and trust in God. Get your businesses right. Start new businesses if you can. Look at that beautiful bird right there. Isn't that epic? And, maintain that healthy, positive mindset. Realize, too, with all this negativity in the world, God is all powerful. God has a big plan for all of you tuning in. And I encourage you, take responsibility for your own life and your own success. My whole mission statement through 1000X and our world-class platforms, brands, and investments is to share that success with the world and to motivate all of you guys to go kick some major butt. Also, just for our member investors, our private placement, of course, not available to the public at islandproject.com. Click the link below. See if you qualify. Fill out a 5-minute app or call Papa John at 808-442-2934. We are closing on our 3rd and 4th condos here shortly. We've thus far acquired 2 amazing properties, one in Maui, the other in Oahu. And our property in Maui actually consists of 3 buildings, a spec home and 2 other amazing multi-million-dollar homes right on the ocean with beautiful views. So we've honestly, guys, all glory to God, but just been dominating across the board on every single angle and every part of our business objective and business plan. So I just want to thank all of you tuning in for making all that happen. All of my extraordinary members from around the world in over 12 plus countries, fighting for freedom, fighting back for love, hope, peace, prosperity, getting your money game on, getting those cash flows up and those capital gains. And then, of course, as you all know, I will be tokenizing a multi-billion-dollar blockchain technology on that no bank debt asset. So our $33.5 million no bank debt ownership of 10 to 15 properties here in Maui, Booyah, and Oahu are all going to be tokenized. And all of my members that own that fractional real estate outright that get paid cash flows at each end of year with the W-9 that get large capital appreciation, potential and all the other benefits of our amazing ecosystem, plus some use of property and everything that offers, also get the founder's rate, see my intent to tokenize, of course, and terms of the multi-billion-dollar blockchain launch. So, I mean, man, who knows what that's going to be worth? Our $33.5 million portfolio by itself, standalone, is going to be worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the near future, properly managed by me, my father, and our team, of course. But in addition to that, what is the blockchain going to be worth that is tokenizing that asset? Well, in my opinion, I have to say it's my opinion, it's going to be worth undoubtedly billions and billions and billions of dollars. So I want you to think about this for a minute. A lot of people ask me, how do you 1000x real estate? Well, we do it with our blockchain launch, which will be our largest liquidity event. And if you think about it, if we only have a 30 minimum units to get in, which is 30,000, which is 30K, all you have to do is like 30 to 33x the blockchain and you're a millionaire. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I very much intend to do that for every single member with a minimum of 30. And I have members with 500 units and up, all the way to 1,000 units and up. Each unit priced at 1,000. All it is a simple 30x, guys. I mean, guys, my tokens in my portfolio, 100x all the time. I mean, Jesus Coin over 100x'd for all my members and students at Island Project Club, like in a couple of months. From a 500K market cap. It's going to go to 1,000x next. Dude, that's easy. 30x is like a drop in the bucket. That is like the easiest thing ever to accomplish in the blockchain space. And so what I'm telling you, although I can't say it's financial advice, I fully intend and will make all of my members at islandproject.com fill out an app today, see if you qualify. Rich, abso-freaking-lutely rich, 1000x diamond nuts rich. It's exactly what I'm doing and exactly what I am building. God bless you all. See if you qualify. Now available to the public. You got to be a member. Previous business relationship with me, my companies. I've been doing this nearly 20 years. I've got millions of you following me around the world. I have millions of people on my email list, millions of you that have bought products and services from me. And honestly, I thank all of you for everything that you've done to help us build this world-class opportunity, the Digital Noah's Ark. I was called by God to build this along with my father to protect people through this disruption. The Island Project, islandproject.com, was built quite literally for everything happening now in the world. For global disruption, for the digital reset, for CBDCs, for blockchain. We are the freedom fighters, okay, and the tip of the spear on that success train and that victory, which could only be accomplished with the great people, all of you great people tuning in, that are all working together collectively to make that happen. When frankly, there's not a lot of hope out there. So I just encourage you guys, I'll include all these links down below in a minute, whether or not it's our club at islandprojectclub.com or it's islandproject.com, filling out that 5-minute app, rolling over your IRAs and retirement accounts as soon as you can, because 2024 is going to continue to be a bang. You got to get out of the banks now, guys. Get into the assets that are going to keep up with hyperinflation, that you have actual true fractional private ownership and control over, and then take part in this technological revolution and the 1000x opportunity with our intent to tokenize. And you don't have to be an expert. A lot of you ask me, it's like, Christopher, I don't understand blockchain. Well, you don't have to. My team is turnkeying all of this for you on your behalf. So it's super easy, so you can play and ride the 1000x wave without being an expert. My team, we're the managers of the project for that reason. We work for you and we work our butts off. We've been, working our tails off since we had launched, of course, in July of 2022. We filed a private placement, as many as you know. Also, too, just a reminder, we will never contact you from an unofficial platform or site. I will not ever friend request you on Facebook. I will never DM you. Okay, so, the only places you can find us, or if I say it here, or our official website, islandproject.com or islandprojectclub.com. Those are the only official sites. So just be careful out there. As a public figure, I do have a lot of impersonators. That's not me. And if you ever, question anything, just call my dad at 808-442-2934. Have a real conversation and or request a call and or visit our official site at islandproject.com and also the club. So, be vigilant out there as well, guys. I love you. And we have an incredible year ahead. Fill out those apps today, and I'll see you at school.